everybody, it's Amanda. I know it's been a while since I've been in with an update, or anything for that matter. Life has just been a little bit crazy. It's getting ready for back to school time. I've been helping my son get his driver's license, which he did yesterday, so if you live in North Texas, beware. And then I also started a little side job to try and help get some money for some expenses for my daughter. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just wanted to check in with my 5-month update. I'll have measurements for you today from a couple weeks ago, and they were actually 3-month measurements, but, and I cannot stress this enough, take measurements when you start, because I did not. I took my first measurements at 6 weeks, so these measurements that I'm about to give you really do not give you the overall picture of how many inches I have lost, because in those first 6 weeks, I think I saw the biggest change in inches. At least that's when I got the most comments. You know, it's been a little bit slower now. So just take them at the very beginning, because you'll feel so much more accomplished. Now, mine were good. There was considerable loss, so I'm very happy about that. But they could have been better, just if it was a true starting point versus, 6 weeks in. So we'll go over those, and I will cover any goals I'll have for the next month or so. Because now we're getting to that 1 month before my birthday, and I don't think I'll make it to a size 14, because I don't know about you, but because I hate shopping so much, I really did not know what my true starting size is, because I have all different sizes from all different places, that to know what a true size was, because everything is different from brand to brand, from style to style. So I may have been bigger than I ever thought, because again, when you look in the mirror, you don't really see. It's kind of like looking through some weird glasses, because you don't really see or realize, your size or your shape, or it's really hard to gauge personally when you look in a mirror, because you've slowly gotten there, so you don't realize how it's happened and how drastic it is. Same with weight loss. When it's slow, and especially if you have body dysmorphia issues, where you look in the mirror, I've lost, so I'm 5 months now, 5 months into keto, and I have lost exactly 47 pounds. So that's practically 50 pounds, right? But when I look in the mirror, I don't see that at all. I notice a little bit in the face, I will say that. When I smile, I have maybe 2 chins sometimes. Sometimes if I do my angles right, it's 1. But at least I have a chin now, whereas before it just kind of like all melted into my neck. So that's a huge milestone for me, and one of my best gauges for myself. But when I look in the mirror, and I'm starting to get some curves back, which are the ones that go like this and not like this. So that also is a thing that I like. But the truth is, I didn't know how big my ass was getting. My butt. I didn't know how big it was getting. I didn't know how wide my hips were. Or the girls. So it's really, really important and encouraging to take measurements, because you can't dispute number facts. So we're going to go ahead and get into these measurements in a minute, but I do want to talk about a few things that has kept me away. We've already discussed the passing of Chester from Lincoln Park, and to be quite honest with you, that shook me for a couple weeks. it threw me off my game. Now, I wasn't eating bad, but I wasn't tracking. I was not tracking my macros. I wasn't tracking my calories. I know that there's some days that I didn't eat much at all, if at all. There's some days that I'm gorged out, let's have 3, cheese sticks. And, it was just very disorganized eating, and I don't think that did me any favors. And yeah, I've lost, I think, because I'm at exactly 47 pounds down now. And so I think that gives me about 7.5 to 8.5 pounds from last month. I don't remember my exact number from last month. I guess I could look it up if I wanted to. So it wasn't a bad loss month, but I felt out of control. And again, I ate keto foods, but I think I could have done a lot better than I did. And actually, I think I'm just going to have to get back into it this week. Although this week's going to be kind of off and on again anyways, because my daughter goes back to college on Saturday. So, I know next Monday I'll for sure be back to a rigid schedule. My other 2 kids are back in school already. And so I'll get on a rigid schedule. And I think that will definitely help me. I'll get back into tracking. I'll get back into drinking my water. Because that's another thing that I haven't been doing super great on. I used to drink a ton of water. But these past couple weeks, I don't get in as much water as I used to. And I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm not being as regimented as I usually am. It affects everything, I think. So, these are things that, you don't think about. And then when you sit here and oh, what's different? That's something that's different. So I will get back into that schedule as well. Because I've been taking off days of work. And I don't usually take days off of work. It's been a while. But these past couple weeks, I would take a day here or 2 days there. And another day yesterday I took off so my son could get his license. But yeah, it's definitely been something. And another thing, I wanted to talk about is during this past month, that's kind of kept me away, is my son's birthday. He turned 17, and so I took the kids to the water park, and some of their friends came along, and I packed a cooler full of water and stuff for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and chips and granola bars and Oreo cookies, for the kids. And I packed myself these egg set go or egg ready go, something I found at Target. Basically what it is, it's by the eggs, and it's got a 1 hard-boiled egg in it, cheese cubes, and some nuts. They have pistachios, and then they have almonds. So I took a couple of those for myself, and I did eat those. But I am absolutely, my problem with food, and the hardest part I'm having with this diet, and actually it's not a diet, with this way of eating, is that social events. Now, when we went to the water park, and it's my son's birthday, and all I wanted to do was eat a freaking peanut butter and jelly sandwich, some chips, and a funnel cake. Who doesn't love funnel cake? Funnel cake is so good. And that's all I wanted. And it wasn't the food. Yes, I love those things, and it's been 5 months since I've had it, and I love those things, but I wasn't craving the food. I was craving being able to participate in the social part of that. I wanted to have the peanut butter and jelly sandwich with everybody else, and the chips with everybody else. I didn't want to have to eat my hard-boiled egg and cheese cubes and nuts at a water park. I wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a funnel cake. I did not have those things, and I was very proud of myself. So it's the little victories like that. I would consider that a non-scale victory. But I will say that I was a little bitter about it. I was a little resentful. And then the next day at my mom's house, she made the kids barbecue ribs, and she and I ate pork chops. It was great that she made a separate meal for us, and I was able to keep it keto. And then the kids got to eat German chocolate cupcakes. I did not get to eat a German chocolate cupcake. And I've been thinking about that over the past couple days. And you know what? Had I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a cupcake or both, that would not have made me a failure. I would not have considered that a cheat. I would consider that participating in life. And I feel like I should have been able to do that without beating myself up over it. I am not a keto purist. I'm not, one of the radical keto people. They are out there. But I'm not that. I think everybody has to do what they have to do, so I'm not going to judge you if you eat Halo Top ice cream, even though it's not technically keto because it does have sugar in it. And if you have a meal out to celebrate, I'm not going to judge you for that. So why would I judge myself for that? I guess it comes down to, and I've thought about this over the past few days. I should have been able to participate in that without judging myself or beating myself up over it. And I think maybe come Thanksgiving, I might actually allow myself to enjoy the traditional stuff that we eat at Thanksgiving, because that is something that I enjoy. That is something that means something to me. And I think that I should be allowed to do that. And because if I have fixed my way of eating, it won't be a full year by Thanksgiving, but let's just use this as an example. 365 days in the year. If I am eating good 350 of those days, wouldn't you consider that still a lifestyle change? If you're not a drinker, but say you go out with friends and you have a couple glasses of wine, does that make you an alcoholic? No. So it's kind of the same thing. I know it depends on person to person. Everybody has their triggers. And, so if it was something that would have made me binge or send me in a spiral, then, yeah, that's probably something you should stay away from. But if you know for a fact that you can have, on your son's birthday, a cupcake, and that it won't send you off course, not speaking of any stalled weight loss or kicking you out of ketosis, because that's going to happen. That's bound to happen. But I'm talking about like off your game, your whole game. But if it's not going to do that, why are you imposing such strict regulations? That's not what life's about, and you need to enjoy it. So I think next time an opportunity comes up, then, maybe if I want it that bad, I'm going to let myself have it. And I'm not going to beat myself up over it. And then that way I don't have the feelings of resentment. And it may have been building up because I am an emotional eater, and I did not eat through my downtime, getting, probably irrational, over the loss of Chester. It's not really, well, you know what I mean. But I didn't comfort myself with food then, and so maybe it was just kind of boiling up, and then I didn't eat for my son's birthday, and so I kind of became resentful. I was, why should I have to do this? Why can't I? And the truth of the matter is because you've eaten like crap for the past, 10 years. What do you expect? It's going to catch up with you. But, one day would not have undid, what I've accomplished over the past 5 months. One day would not have set me back, I don't believe, what I've accomplished. And physically or mentally, because I still feel very passionate about keto diet. I do think that it is probably one of the best ways of eating out there. I know other people have their own ways, paleo, vegan, and that's fine. But I think this is probably one of the healthier ways to do it. So it wouldn't have undone my thinking on that. So, but I think it may have undone some of my bitter resentment with my relationship with food. So, but that is what it is. And I'll probably not splurge on my birthday because my birthday doesn't mean as much to me as my kids' birthdays mean to me. Another thing that I've been doing over the past month, actually, we just have done it for 2 weekends now. My daughter is going back to college, and so she was looking for a way to earn some extra money on top of her other job that she gets up and goes to work at 4:45 in the morning. And so she was looking for something to supplement that. And so we have been doing UberEats. I've been doing it primarily Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because especially now with, work and the kids going back to school, there's just not enough time to do it during the week. But it's not, for the income. It's kind of supplemental. So I think I might keep doing it and maybe put that money away and have it as fun money, a fun fund, either for a vacation or I do want a new refrigerator, so maybe I'll work it. And see, that's a great thing. I can do it when I want, however long I want, and it's just extra. So maybe I'll do that and put that away for a new refrigerator or a vacation next summer, which would be really nice. My son graduates in May, so it'd be great to do a vacation because he's thinking about maybe going into the Coast Guard. Driving for UberEats, it's actually not terribly bad, and the food doesn't make me crave too much, so that's kind of good. I was like, but for working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, a few hours a day, I make between $150 and $200. So I definitely think I will start that fund because we need a vacation before my son goes away or after he graduates. We haven't been on a real family vacation in a while. So I think that's definitely something that I want to do. And so that's taken up some of my time. I'm getting to see some new places around my area that have different menus. Some I can keto-fy and some I can't. But it's like you just never know what's in your area until you go into these little places. Some are so incredibly popular that I didn't even know existed. So it might broaden my horizons a little bit. We'll have to see. I always check the menu before I go and plan what I'm getting before I go. I don't want to have to be forced with any snap decisions when I get to a restaurant. So, I do want to tell you, it's kind of random, but remember from my Keto Krate video how I had those 2 meat sticks? I took those to work and I tried them. And this again goes back to me not being a 100% keto purist because one of those meat sticks did have brown sugar in it, but I ate it anyways. It was pretty good. I think it was the Amarok beef stick is maybe what it was called. That's the one that had a little bit of brown sugar in it. It was really good. The other one was good too, the one that had the fennel, but it wasn't as good. It was more pepperoni, but with that fennel in it. It wasn't bad, but neither one of them were things that I would add to my regular snacks or foods. I will say that if there had not been brown sugar in the flatter meat stick, the Amarok, whatever, one of those, I may have maybe bought a couple of those for snacks, but because it has the brown sugar, I'm not going to. Just because, it was good, but I don't need to add those things to my snacks or anything. So I don't see the reason to do it. But Okay, I think I've covered things from the past month, so we can go ahead and get into the actual update stuff with my measurements. And like I said earlier, at my 5-month weigh-in, I was down exactly 47 pounds. So that's good. I think that's a good steady loss for 5 months, almost 50 pounds. Had I had a more consistent month in these past couple weeks, it may have been another pound or two down. But, for 7.5 to 8.5 pounds in the month, I don't think that's too shabby. I think that is a win, and I will chalk it up as such and move on to this next month and get things back in a more routine way of eating and monitoring, logging my foods in MyFitnessPal. I think that will get me wholly back on track, and maybe this next month I'll have a great number. But these measurements, like I had said before, I really wish they came. I really wish I took them the day that I started, because I think that they would have been much larger, in progress. They're not bad, but, when you drop a whole bunch and people are commenting, and then you kind of get into a steady stroke, then, it's not as a wow factor. But these are from April 22nd and July 22nd. And keep in mind, I started keto on March 13th, 2017. So this is about 5.5, 6 weeks in where I took these first set of measurements. And so we're going to go through some of these here, and then I will let you know what my goals are for the next month, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I started with measuring my bust line, so underneath, around my rib cage, and on April 22nd, that was a 40.75, and then 3 months later, it was 38.5. So that is 2.25 inches in about 3 months time. So, and then my waist, and when I do my waist, I do it at the narrowest part, and that is usually a couple inches above my belly button. And it was 43 in April and 41 in July. Now, this isn't as big of a loss as I would have expected or felt it should have been. So I don't know if I did not measure accurately, or if, again, I just look at the mirror and I am so disconnected with what I am seeing. But my pants, because they don't sit at my waist, because between my weight loss and just where pants normally sit at the hips, I don't have a way of gauging that waist measurement. So we're going to let it ride at that, and then when I take my next set of measurements, see how it goes, to see if maybe I was inconsistent in my measuring. So then I did around my belly button, which I just call it around my belly button, so my stomach. In April it was 45, and then in July it was 42.75. So that is 2.25. Yes, 2.25 inches. So that's seeming to be consistent with everything. Now we're going to get to the hips. Now the hips, I do measurements in 2 different ways. Now I have what I call an apron. I don't know if I saw that on one of those plastic surgery medical shows or if I made this up. But I have fat and the extra skin, as it's loosening up, that hangs over my where my hips are. So I call it my apron. So I have measured this in 2 ways. I've measured it including around my hips, including that little bit of apron, and then measured around my hips underneath that little bit of fat. So including my apron, I went from a 53.5 to a 51.25. So that's 2.25 inches. And then underneath the apron, I went from a 51.25 to a 48.25. So that's 3 inches. That is probably the true hip measurement. But I do it both ways because it's just, that's the way your pants fit, So I just wanted to get an accurate measurement. Because I don't tuck my pants underneath my apron. I put it over top, so I wanted an accurate representation of both. I'm a little obsessive about things like this. I want everything to be exactly what it is. I'm not a ballpark person. It's, if you know me, you know me. So then I did my thighs, and for this reference for measuring, I included, I used my saddle bags. If you are a woman and you got those, you got your butt, hip area, and then you got where your legs, so you come like this, and then they kind of pooch out a little bit. Those are saddle bags, if you didn't know. So around that widest part of my thighs, it was 50.5, and now it is 48.25. So that's 2.25 inches. As you can see, these are pretty consistent all the way down the body. So I'm losing fairly consistently, proportionately, from all the different measurements until the last one. You'll see. So then I measured just my right thigh, and that went from 30.75 to 28.5. And then I did, so what did I say? 30.75 to 28.2. So that was 2.25 inches. And then my right calf, now get this, my right calf was 17.75. Now it is 17.75. I've always had very large calves, and they're very solid. And then this just goes to show me that it's not muscle. And I don't like my calves. I've never liked my calves. They're just huge. And, and this isn't giving me a whole lot of hope because there's been no change in my calf size. I wouldn't have expected a large change, but something, but nothing. So, and then I did measure my neck. I went from a 15.5 to a 15. So a half inch off my neck. But again, the neck measurement is where I would have expected to see a bigger change had I done my measurements day one. Because I do feel like I've lost quite a bit through here. So, I will never know until I do my next set of measurements. Now, I don't know that I'm going to do measurements every month because I'm the type of person that I think that if I did them every month and I only lost a half inch here and a half inch there, I think that would bring me down more than if I only lost half a pound on the scale. Everybody gauges different parameters for success, and yeah, losing a half inch in a month, I should be proud of that, but I expect so much, and I just think that would bring me down a little bit. So I am going to avoid things that I know are going to bring me down. So I'll probably do those every 3 months. So, I will get more routine with posting update videos, but they'll probably mostly only be weight and non-scale victories, things like that. But actual measurements, I'll probably only do quarterly. That may change. Maybe I will feel, in a month that I did super great and my clothes are fitting so much better, and so I might just go ahead and whip out some measurements. But that's not something that I do. I don't like taking measurements. I don't like the act of being, practically undressed and getting that tape, and just, I don't like it. It's, kind of a roadblock for me, and whenever I come up to roadblocks, it pretty much shuts me down. So I don't see myself doing that too often. And then, but I am going to get better now that we're good. Not this weekend. This weekend's going to be kind of crazy because I'll be out of town. But in the next week or two, I will definitely get into a more routine type of vlogs or updates. I want to do meal prep and grocery hauls for you to kind of, especially if you're new or just getting back on keto, like a stripped down basic way of doing things. I think that for me to get back into tracking, that will be helpful, just to do the stripped down basic, we'll call it keto unplugged, no frills, no, jazz or anything like that. We're just going to, do the hard-boiled eggs, maybe double them at most, and super simple dinners like taco salads or a meat and a vegetable or salads, something to that effect. But which is usually the way that I do best. When I start getting fancy or trying to do baked goods and, stuff like that, I tend to not be as, it's harder to enter those things into MyFitnessPal. It's just, it takes more steps. And even if you're doing a recipe, then you got to put in the recipe. So I call that, those tend to be roadblocks. And so when I'm doing those things, I'm not as precise in my journaling of what I eat. So I will probably, in the next week or two, get back to a stripped down, simple keto. I will probably do carb ups, maybe once every 2 weeks, just to throw in a little bit there and see and actually monitor what it does. Do I feel better? I'll be going for blood work in 2 months, I think, for my thyroid and probably my full physical blood work, but definitely my thyroid, to see how that's going. And let's see, we talked about on my last update video about how I wanted to be in a size 14 Target pant by my birthday. Well, that's in a month. And after I recorded that video, my daughter and I went to Target, and I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to try in a size 16 to see how much I have to go to get into a 14. And because I don't shop very often, and I shop in all different places, I'm not sure I'm going to make it to a 14. When I put on the 16s, the fabrics met, but there was no way I was going to be able to zip those or button those. So I think maybe a 14 was a little optimistic. So maybe a 16. If I can get into a 16 by my birthday, I'll buy myself some new pants. But it was definitely an eye-opener. It just goes to show that how out of touch I was with either how things had gotten or just how things are sized, because I just didn't have any interest in buying new clothes. So yeah, and I guess that's going to be it for now. I feel like I'm forgetting something, and if I am, maybe I'll come back with a midweek update or something. So if you have any questions of me or of keto, post it below. If you have any comments or suggestions, I'm completely open to those, so post those below. And until next time, subscribe to my channel, like my video, and I will see you again.